There's a lot of myths in the division about certain items, builds, damage modifiers, and how they work together. It's at the point where people take them as fact without exploring the theories. I decided to take a look myself and try to separate fact from fiction. Let's see if you've been making these mistakes. One of the most common myths surrounds the Pestilence exotic LMG, and specifically how to get more tick damage from the talent Plague of the Outcasts. Here I have a standard meta build with the Pestilence. Let's get a base reading of the tick damage from this build. So as you can see, it's hitting for just over 700k ticks. Keep that number in mind for later. Now let's see if headshots will actually make a difference to these ticks. Again, even with doing headshots, it does not increase or decrease the damage. It stays at 705k ticks. As you can see, I'm taking the mods off the build. I'm also going to change out the contractor's gloves for an identical pair, only rolled with crit damage instead of crit chance. Everything else is going to remain the same. Let's have a look at my crit chance. It's now sitting at 22%, which is very low. Let's see if that interferes with the tick damage. The tick damage has remained the same at 705,180. Now we're going to try and change over to the Vile Mask. This is the biggest mistake that people make. They believe that the Vile Mask, having the status effects and having the debuff over time, actually contributes to additional damage on the Pestilence build. Let's see how that goes. The tick damage of course has stayed the exact same, but now let's really drive it home and go further into the status with the Anarchist Cookbook. Perfectly Wicked. Applying a status effect increases total weapon damage by 18% for 27 seconds. Obviously this should do more damage. Surprise surprise, you actually end up doing less tick damage, because status effects do not apply to the Pestilence Plague of the Outcast. It is not a status effect, it is a debuff. Now we switch out the same build to have a Yale Mask instead of the Vile Mask. It has a little bit more weapon damage, and let's see what it does. And of course with the increased weapon damage, you've actually increased your ticks. That's because the Plague of the Outcast talent is based on your weapon damage. More weapon damage means higher ticks. Now I forgot to show the build here first, but it's just your standard meta with a Catharsis Mask. I'm applying damage to myself to get a baseline rating of how much the Catharsis heals when it procs. Now it's a little hard to see, but if you notice I've got 12 bars missing at the end. Keep that in mind. Now I'm adding an incoming repair mod to see if that makes any difference to the Catharsis heals. As you can see, even with the incoming repair mod, I still have 12 bars of armor missing at the end. Now I'm adding some repair skill mods just to see if that makes any difference, along with the incoming repair mod as well. Now this is showing as less armor repaired this time because I stuffed something up. Now it should be showing as 12. I did redo it again to confirm, and there is still 12 bars missing, meaning that the repair mods also did nothing to assist in the heals. Now it seems pretty obvious when you read the actual talent vicious cycle. If you look all the way down the bottom, it restores 5% of max armor for 10 seconds. Now that's a flat 5% of whatever armor you have, whether it's low or high. This is not changed in any way, shape or form by repair mods. Now I don't know why this is even an argument. Blue damage indicates that they're taking armor damage. The Chunga's obviously taking armor damage, and once his armor's gone, that blue damage goes away and he's taking crits and normal damage. Argument resolved. Now this is another argument that pops up from time to time, stating that health damage is far better than armor damage. People have gone as far as to say it's even more important in PvP. Now I don't know when the last time you stepped in the Dark Zone was, but people definitely have more armor than health, and without breaking through it, you're not touching the health. And no, health damage does not override armor, or every PvP player would have health damage builds to negate your 2.3 million armor and target the 300k health for an insta-kill. I've put together a health damage build using the Yarl brand Hollow Man Mask named item and the 3-piece Walk and Harris. Let's see how it stacks up against a damage to armor build. I've tried to keep the stats on the builds pretty similar. They've got the same damage and same crit damage. The health damage build has slightly more crit chance and of course has the health damage as opposed to the armor damage on the other build. As you can see, the health damage build does not outperform the damage to armor build when it comes to taking out an NPC with no armor. They both take exactly 13 bullets. However, the damage to armor build does outperform the health damage build when it comes to taking out an NPC that does have armor. Now, last thing I want to talk about is rate of fire. People seem to think that rate of fire equals damage because it sounds and feels that way. Now, a great man once said, facts don't care about your feelings. Both these builds are pretty much the same, except one has Striker for additional rate of fire, and one has Heartbreaker for additional damage. As you can see, the Striker takes more bullets to actually kill the enemy. Now with the Heartbreaker build, I don't need the weapon handling, so I can afford to take a piece off and put something else on that's going to give me additional damage. I can't do that with the Striker because I lose the rate of fire. With the increase in damage, the difference between time to kill and the bullets it takes to take down an enemy is far greater, making the Striker's rate of fire redundant. Hopefully this has cleared up a few of those myths and you can start making better builds. Let us know how you go.